Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Paramount number 3562 commercial door chain stop. They call this extra heavy duty, and I would certainly agree with that. This construction, this design, the base materials, the way it's put together, would put this on par with all other companies who consider this type of design as extra heavy duty. This is a door chain, is what it is. This is literally chain link inside of here, separated by two spring assemblies. Pull the vinyl cover back and you can see that. You're going to have one on each side, so down here is the same sort of assembly. This has an overall length of, I'm going to tell you that right now, an overall length about 32.5 inch, an overall length. That means that this is going to be appropriate for handling large doors, wide doors, 3'6", 4 foot wide. Generally, if you have a 3 foot wide door, you'd be dealing with a chain that's about 25 inch, something in that range, and maybe closer to 20 inch if you had a 2'4", 2'6", or 2'8" wide door. Okay. Now, the manufacturer does not give any details on where to go about locating this, but we'll talk more about that in just a moment. Actually, no, let's talk about it now because it dovetails to the next part of this video. Installation. In the absence of manufacturers' prescribed locations, I suggest that you start with the chain about 10 inch over from the edge of the door and about the same dimension, maybe 12 inch, from the header over as well, so that this is on the header and that this will be on the face of the door. Have the door open and then mark how far it goes out to. Okay, make the adjustments as necessary for that. It's likely that what you'll prefer to do is, rather than move this way out so that it's very odd on the door, you've got a chain hanging, in the middle of the header where it will certainly conflict with an installed door closer. You're going to want to modify the chain length. So that's what you're going to want to test. Come up with placement on the door, do a reality check on it, and then adjust as necessary. Rather than moving the mounting points way over, you're probably going to be better off changing the chain length. Let's talk about that. So you can certainly get, you see these chain links. There's really no elegant way to cut them and to put them back together, unless, of course, you had some sort of a link that you might consider using. Taking some of these and putting them over and then linking them, but somehow fitting them back down. The way that I do it, which is in no manufacturer's recommended usage, is I will just literally modify the unit itself. I can slide over this one part to where I can pinch these hooks down, then force them inside the spring, and then I can work slowly that all the way loose. Now, it's kind of a bear to do, but you can slowly get that down, okay, by pushing, pulling one coil at a time. And what you'll end up doing is getting this portion completely out. And then, once you have this portion out, you can do the same to this. You can hook this back into a different link and then reassemble it, just by, like I just did, once you have that brought all the way down. Because really all you have are two sliding tangs. You've got this one, and you've got this one. So I would disassemble it there after you have an idea of how much shorter you want to make the chain, and then install it that way. Now, installation is really the Achilles heel of this. It can be its saving grace. It can make the unit work, or it can make it fail on its first use. All they're giving you are sheet metal screws. Now, that may not be so bad when you have this set up in shear, when the force is in shear, where this is attached to the header, because when the door opens, it will pull on the chain, pull on this mounting base, which, by the way, is solid brass. This is a chrome type finish, and that is certainly a solid brass base material. I can tell the way that that looks. Okay, that it's solid brass. The magnet tells us that it is as well. Everything else is going to be steel on the unit. The chain link, the screws will be steel. Okay. So perhaps those screws might work where you're pulling them this way, but certainly when you're pulling these just out of the door like this, I would expect a failure, to be frank, using those screws. The problem is heavy-duty crash chains are really a Band-Aid. They're really a last sort of scenario in terms of having a door dead stop. Why do you want to have a door dead stop? Well, obvious. Potential for damage to people, harm to people. When that door gets open to 45 degrees and then the gust of wind grabs it and it just takes it for a ride, it will continue to move until something stops it, and that's usually a wall. So a crash chain is meant to help prevent harm to people, certainly damage to property, the wall, the door. The common problem that you see where it gets real bad when you have a failure is you've got like concrete block, 7 5/8 thick, you've got face brick, you've got insulation, drywall, furring strips drywall on the inside. So you've got a thick wall and you've got just like a 5 3/4 frame. Let's say that you kind of center it on your masonry so that you are overlapping the face brick a bit but coming back over the block. The point is this: when that door opens to 90 degrees, that's okay, but you can go out to about 115 degree before the door will make contact with the outside corner of that face brick. And if the door keeps going at that point, what ends up happening is the door will actually act as a lever to force the jam out or off of the wall. That's where the real potential for not easy to repair damage comes in. You can expect that if a door gets ripped open, the glass in the door will break, the knob or the trim on the lock set will become damaged, the face brick can become chipped and damaged, and you could pull literally the frame away from the wall, and I've seen that. And clients have said, what do I do now? It's, you don't need a Band-Aid, you need antibiotics. Band-Aid's not going to fix an infection. So the problem is preventing it from happening is really the key. Now, a crash chain would be best suited because if you're putting on a crash chain, it's probably an afterthought. Or, oops, look what this door does, it's no good. Swinging too far open. That probably will mean that the header is not reinforced and the door is not reinforced. If you have steel up in the header, you should be able to drill and tap those holes and get machine bolts. I'd probably say 1032 machine bolts at the most. For that, you might have to countersink those mounting plates a little bit. But the door is the problem. If that's not reinforced, it'll just pull out the first time. You're going to want to try to source, and we can help you with that, what the industry will call sex bolts, through bolts, maybe binder posts. Those are words to search for, and we can help you with those. If you're going into a scenario where there is no reinforcing on the door, reach out to us. We will help you with a set of through bolts for it, because quite frankly, otherwise I think you're just going to have failure. The problem is once the pad or the mounting pad rips out of the door, it's going to make those holes with mini eruptions where the screws have been ripped out. So now you've got a surface that's no longer even flat. So it's going to be difficult to make that work well for you. Crash chains, again, afterthoughts. Now, what is the right way to solve it? In my opinion, that would be an overhead stop. Lots of manufacturers make slide track hardware that's both concealed and surface mounted for doing a positive dead stop. Those doors and frames are prepped, are reinforced and prepped at the factory to handle the load. If you've ever walked into a high volume door, a shopping center, a movie theater, an airport terminal, a sports stadium, you will always see this hardware. Not sometimes, you will always see it. It's that crucial. If you need the door to stop, you have to have the right hardware. Sometimes you can make if you're planning it when you're ordering the door and frame, a door closer that will have a dead stop style arm. Those are good options as well. I don't, in my opinion, not as good as an overhead door stop would be, because that piece of hardware is dedicated for only one purpose. It's not trying to do multiple things. But perhaps you can add a dead stop arm if the templating works out, to your existing closer. But then again, finally, a crash chain. So if you're able to install it so that it stops at the degree of opening, it doesn't conflict with any existing hardware, a coordinator, not that it would conflict with a coordinator, but a door closer, any sort of surface applied material. If you had a piece of glass that was in the door, you certainly wouldn't want this rattling to the face of the glass every time. So no conflict with the existing hardware, templating it so that it stops correctly, and then if you were to through bolt it through the door, certainly, or do the best job you can. You can't weld these. Guys will say, don't worry about it, I'll just weld it. Well, it's brass, so we're not going to do that. I think you've got a good chance at this working for you. An appropriate application would probably be something where you don't have general foot traffic, in front of the door. You might use it as a loading dock door, where you can expect some wind condition when, like a trucking terminal is prone to be very windy because you've got just the wind racing through all the dock bays, and you can open that door and it could get thrown open quickly, and that would be probably a good scenario for that as well. So back to the extended description. They're calling it heavy duty. They've got a 30.5 size. That's probably going to be a reference to the center to center of your mounting points. Okay. Extra heavy duty welded chain. We showed you that. 2 heavy duty coil springs with stainless steel linkage. That could be stainless. Well, it's not magnetic, that's for sure. So I'm going to go with stainless on that. It's marginally magnetic, which stainless is when it's been machined or otherwise manufactured over. Brass die-cast mounting brackets, gray textured vinyl cover, and then self-tapping screws. Okay. There is a link to a document called Template below this video. It's really not a template. It is like a product brochure showing this and some sister products from Paramount. You can see from the last page there that they have a steel and zinc die-cast model of this as well, the 3561. The mounting pads would not be brass in that sort of scenario, but I don't have any, if you're going to have the door open so forcefully that it will damage the mounting pad, it's just the wrong hardware to begin with. Think elsewhere for the, overhead stops for the solution. The two lengths of that, 25.5, that would be better for a 3-foot door right out of the box. And then, of course, the 30.5. Then some residential chains are up there as well on that second page, some other door stops and holders from Paramount. Finally, the summary of Paramount. There's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all the Paramount products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, along with a link to the full product catalog. Paramount, what you need to know about them is this: excellent quality, customer service and technical support, that's for sure. If you're looking for commercial hardware, their hinges, their lock sets, their exit devices, and their door closers, great value, great quality, in stock, prompt, reliable shipping lead times. You might just try some Paramount hinges, locks, door closers, exit devices on your next relatively small commercial job. Let's say 2, 3, 4, 5, a half a dozen doors, and see how you like it. See if you like the prompt shipping lead times, the quality of the door closer, how it installs. You might become someone that will request it the next time around. If you have any questions on the Paramount 3562 commercial crash door chain or any other Paramount product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.